Hey, it's Jack, and this video is how men fall in love. Hey, if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. We've got a growing and brilliant community here. You can just click the subscribe, and you can also click the bell notification. That will let you know as soon as new videos come out. So I'm actually going to be a little bit controversial with this question. I don't think the real question is how men fall in love. I'm curious why you're asking that question. Now, it could be you're asking that question because you've been confused about what's going on over there with him, right? And it might be that there are different parts of the falling in love process that are more common for men or for women. But if you're here and you're into this kind of work, my imagination is that you're someone that doesn't just want a high school love. And what I mean by high school love is the kind of love where it feels really good and it feels gushy and it feels romantic and it's exciting and my heart's fluttering and I've got this sort of altered state of reality. That's an amazing experience, and if you haven't experienced that, go experience it. It's just not the most relevant thing for what it takes to create a long-term conscious relationship. And my imagination is that most of you watching right now, if you could really have it your way, that's what you want. You want some kind of commitment, and you want a relationship that you can grow within. And how a guy falls in love, to me, is somewhat irrelevant to that question, or it's just a different vector of reality. It's not to say that there's no merit in that, but it might not be as connected to the thing that you want that you've been making it. You know, mature adult love is about being able to see someone fully. It's about being able to be with them in their lightness as well as their darkness. It's about building some kind of attachment foundation. It's about two people being on a growth path individually and collectively. It's about a minimum effective dose of foundation and stability and the ability to work difficult edges and come back together. And hey, some of that stuff is not super sexy. Some of that stuff has nothing to do with how do you feel or how fluttery is your heart. It has to do with, can you show up and expand your consciousness? Can you show up and develop some awareness and practice things that are difficult for you? So it might be a better question is, you know, how do we stay in a love relationship irrespective of how long was the period of time that we were in a falling in love process? Because falling in love doesn't stay for the long haul. Right? You can have these moments where you fall back in love with your partner, and maybe you're someone that sort of giddy feeling is just ongoingly there. But my imagination is if that's your experience, there's some deeper reality that may not be fully being acknowledged in your relationship. Some of the deeper work that you might actually be here to do may be getting missed out on. You might have a little bit of a Peter Pan view of relationship, right? All the upside, all the highs and the dreams and the fantasies of relationship, and you may be missing out on, you know, sometimes relationship is stodgy, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's one step forward, one step backwards. Sometimes you don't know what you need, right? And it takes keep coming back together to figure some of these things out. So what I'm inviting from you is a shift of perspective and to get much more curious. If you don't know this distinction between high school love and mature adult love that has a bedrock of commitment to ourselves and to each other, then that's what I really want to invite you to get curious about. Get to notice what it takes. Get to notice that energy in couples that have that energy and foundation. Start to listen to different music potentially, right? So much of the music industry is geared around this high of a teenage falling in love kind of experience. And again, it's great. Have it. It's a high. Highs are awesome. But life isn't just one big high. Life in the real world of presence and essence and contact with reality isn't one big high. So you might want to redirect your attention to, what does it take to foster a long-term committed relationship that's conscious with Mr. Right, where I get to be myself, he gets to be himself, and we're actually developing something that is bigger than both of us. That's a very different kind of orientation. And you might want to notice, what are your blocks to that? And is there a block that you actually haven't had the experience of getting through that falling in love, getting through that infatuation period for something that's more stable and, in a sense, grounded to materialize? Like maybe you don't know that feeling, or maybe you undervalue that experience. So by the time it comes there, you're sort of like, oh yeah, this isn't working out. Oh, we don't feel how we felt when we fell in love. I don't still get these highs around him. And it's like you need to reorient. to something else, particularly if that hasn't been working for you, right? It might be time to sober up a little and be willing to be in a different perspective. Like if you really got that love isn't a feeling, right? That there's something about love that has to do with loving what is, really being with what is, really noticing the lightness and the darkness in ourselves and in another. And that's a one way, people talk about finding the one. One way to think about that could be, who's the person that you can be with their light and their dark, right? There might be some people's darkness that you actually can't be with, or you can't even discover it easily in them. But if there's someone that in their frailty, in their vulnerability, just like you have frailty and vulnerability, you're willing to be with them and say, hey, I see you, and I'm going to stick this out, and I'm going to be you, and I'm going to love you in the places that you maybe even find it hard to love yourself or to allow yourself to be seen there. That's the kind of love that I'm wanting you to know more about. That's the kind of love that I wish there was much more attention on than the high school version. Right? The high school version is great, but you're not in high school anymore, and there's something you want that's called a long-term committed relationship. So this video is my desire is to push you over the edge into your curiosity about what that really is and what that would take, and to have a little bit more freedom from your feelings in some ways. That your feelings will probably go up and down, right? Some days you'll feel really hot, open and connected. Some days you'll feel closed and disconnected. That's all going to be part of the experience that an ongoing mature relationship needs to be able to be with that. It needs to be able to be with the twists and the turns of how you feel, and it's grounded in something kind of deeper than that. Right? It's not to say that if there's a dominant feeling that you're having that you can't bring it in and express it, and maybe there's a change that you need or a request that you have to make, but that there's this longer term thing that happens with soul partners that may have more akin to some of your other family relationships, maybe even the ones that are difficult, but there's a sense that we're kind of doing this together, and it's not like, oh, today I show up and you don't make me feel good, so I disown you as my daughter or my son or my sister or my mother or whatever it is. Right? There's something that's got more stickability, more commitment, more resilience. And that is the facet of relationship that in a lot of the Hollywood view of romance, or this kind of high school love that I'm talking to, gets completely devalued and overlooked. And people end up having the same kind of relationships over and over again. Sometimes when people orient to relationships, they're like a plug looking for a socket, so to speak. They're looking for an electric connection. They're looking for chemistry. They're looking for the intensity and the high. And it's great if that can be part of your relationship. But oftentimes those people, they burn through these relationships. It burns bright. It's fast. It's engaging. It's passionate. It's connected chemistry. And it doesn't last. Right? And people are in a cycle of burning through those. Maybe you've been in that kind of cycle. So if that's true for you, it may be that what you're taking love to be might need an upgrade or a shift in perspective. That it might have a little more robustness and clarity and sobriety of clear seeing than you've given credit for. So I hope that makes sense. As always, I would love to have your questions and comments below this video. What's your experience in this space? What's your experience of falling in love, or maybe falling in love in a way that hasn't led to the longer term thing that you're looking for? Because I want to help you find that. Again, my name's Jack. Thanks for being here.